Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is another project I've got going on, and we're going to be making a whole bed set, which will be a headboard, a footboard, and two panels that run along the side of the bed on the bottom that connects them together. So it's all going to be one thing. I did actually already do the headboard a while ago. I can't remember how it's been within the past year. I think I did just the headboard, and I did a video on that. So if you're interested in checking that out, the link will be down in the description and possibly up on the screen. And so we are going to be doing the whole bed frame. I've already done the headboard, but I still have to do the footboard. So I'm going to show you how I do the footboard. It is going to be the same materials pretty much, except with the headboard. As you'll see in the video, I used I think a 1/2 inch thick maybe piece of plywood on it. I don't think I'm going to go that route this time, but we'll see how it goes. But like I said, the headboard is done. If you want to check that video out, you can check that out. I'm going to be making the headboard, the footboard, and the sideboards, and we're going to be staining them the same color as the headboard, so it's all going to match. So once I get the footboard done and the sideboards done, then I'm going to show you putting it all together, and then we're going to go over the whole entire thing of how I did the headboard, how I did the footboard, and how this whole entire thing came to be. It's kind of funny because I wasn't actually planning on doing this. I did do the headboard because I thought it'd be a cool idea and did a video on it, and my wife liked it. And then now to present day down the road, my wife informed me that I am going to have to make a footboard as well. So that is pretty much why I'm doing this video on the footboard. So it will be kind of cool. I just hadn't planned on doing it. Certainly not right now. I've got a ton of stuff going on. So headboard's already done. We're going to be making the footboard and cut the sideboards. I'm going to show you how I do everything, stain the whole thing, put it all together, and then we're going to talk about the whole entire thing. So let's get to this. How we're going to do this is we're going to make the frame, and then we're going to do the cover on the front and the back. The frame is going to be out of regular 2x4s. The sides of the footboard will be the exact same as the headboard, which I am using 1x4s, and it is, I think, white wood boards. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me. It was the cheapest 1x4 board you can get at Lowe's. I got it at Lowe's. You can get it at Home Depot, whatever. But 2x4 frame, and we're going to do 1x4s on both sides, on the front and the back, and one on each side like this. And then on the top of it, just like I did with the headboard, I got a 1x6 that's going to go right on the top, so there'll be a lip all the way around. So that is all the materials we're planning on using. Like I did say with the headboard, I did use a sheet of plywood on the front and then put the 1x4s on that. I don't have plywood, so I'm going to try and make this work without it. But if not, I'll go to Lowe's and get a sheet of plywood. But the plan is right now to not use plywood. We're just going to use 2x4s for the frame, put the 1x4s all the way around, and the 1x6 on top. That is our material list for the headboard and the footboard. Because of how I'm doing it, they were right around, it was either right over or right under $100 for the headboard, and right over $100 for the footboard and the two boards along the sides. With the boards on the sides, I am using 1x12s. So 2x4 frames is which I did on the headboard and footboard, 1x4s on the sides, 1x6 on the top, and then the sideboards are going to be 1x12. So let's start working on this thing. All right, so here is our materials that we're working with. These are the 2x4s for the frame of this, and here is 1x4s, and there are the 1x12s and the 1x6 on top. So that's all the stuff we're going to be using, other than screws to put the frame together, and then to put all these 1-inch thick boards on here. I am using a real small nail gun, which is a nailer and stapler, to put the boards on the side. So that's what I'm using. So let's start working on this. Oh, and that is gutter stuff. If you haven't checked that video out, it should be up by now, but that video link will be down in the description too. Check that out. All right, let's get working. All right, so this is a rough sketch of what I need. See, the overall, I figured on it being 78 3/4 wide, 30 inches tall, minus the 1x6. So our 2x4 frame that we're going to do is going to be 30 by 78 3/4. So let's get that part done. All right, so the outside frame is done. We've got 30 inches this way and 78 3/4 this way. And then I checked for square diagonally each way. And we were right. I can't remember what it was. $84 maybe. That sounds right. Yeah, 84. All right, so that's right. Now I'm gonna try and not do any plywood on this, so I'm gonna have to have more 2x4s in here. So when I put the boards, there's gonna be like one laying this way, one in the middle, I think, and then one over there, and then in between those you've got the 1x4s like this. That's how I did my headboard. That's how I'm gonna do this. I want this to exactly match that. So we're gonna have to figure out where more 2x4s have to go in here for these boards to be able to sit on each 2x4 this way, so I have something to nail to. So we've got to figure out how many and where they need to go, and then that'll hold this whole thing square, and then that will be the frame and it'll be done. And now we can start moving on to putting our 1x4s how we want. So let's figure out where our more 2x4s need to go in on our frame. All right, so I measured this out. There is going to be a board like this all the way on the edge, right in the middle, and all the way on that edge. So the 1x4 is actually 3.5 inches wide, not 4 inches wide. So that is 3.5 inches. This is where the board is going to end. So I want to put another stud just like this, the same length, to fit down in here, and the center of it be right on that line. That way I can nail the 1x4 that lays here into this board and to this board, and the boards that I have going this way will have half of the 2x4 to sit on here. And the same exact thing for that side. 3.5 inches over center of the stud will be right there. Now in the center, this is dead center, and this is 1 3/4 off, making 3.5 in the middle. So I'm going to have a 1x4 fitting right here, and that's where it's going to be. So the same thing, I'm going to want a stud here right in the center and here right in the center. So my 1x4 going this way will be able to sit on both, leaving half of the 2x4 open on here, half of the 2x4 open on here. So I'll be able to lay the boards on the half of that to nail to, and the same thing for this. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 more in here. So we get that done, and then the frame is braced and shouldn't get out of square, and the frame's completely done, and now we can start working on the 1x4s. On the center line, and then this one's gonna go in here, right on the center. All right, so now we're gonna put the square. What did I do with it? All right, so each one of these, we're gonna get it lined up on the line and make sure it's square, and drill a pilot hole and put a screw in all on this side. And then we're going to go up and measure and mark the lines for the center line over there and make sure they're square, and drill a pilot hole and put screws in there, and then the frame is done. Let's go do it. Studs installed, and they're where they need to be in square. Everything's square. Everything is the length it needs to be. So the frame is done. Now we can start working on putting the 1x4s on. So now I'm starting to work with the 1x4s. We got the first one on here. Now for it to match the headboard I made, there's going to be a 1x4 all the way at the top and all the way at the bottom, and then one up in 3 places in between the long boards that way. And then we're going to have boards going in between here. So that's what we're going to do with the 1x4s. So let's start putting some more on. All right, so we got 3 more boards on. Got the top one, the bottom one, and then on the sides, and the one in the middle. These studs that we put in here have a lip on each side, so our other boards that are going this way will have something to sit on. So now we'll just have to fill this hole and fill this hole, and then we're ready to move on to the back. On the back will be against the bed and mattress, so we won't have to go all the way down. We'll probably like stop halfway or something. And then we'll be able to do the sides and the top. The top is going to be the 1x6, and the sides we're going to have to figure in our 1x12 side board that's going to go along the bottom of the bed. And that's going to connect in here, and it's also going to connect into the headboard when we get over there. So we got to figure in on that when we cut our side boards, however long they need to be. So I did use screws to put the frame together. Then, just like with the headboard, with this footboard to put these 1x4s on and the 1x6, I did use a brad nailer, and I think these are like 18 gauge. Yep, 18 gauge brad nails, real small, real thin, and a little air compressor. And I think I paid like $15 for that, and like 30 or 40 for that. So I mean, it's not that expensive tools to work with, and the nails are really cheap. And if you need to, you can put different staples in that as well. So that's a really good buy for $15. But that's what I'm using to nail these 1x4s and the 1x6s on. When I go to put the 1x12s on the sides, I'm going to pre-drill those, and they'll be screwed into the headboard and the footboard here. But just the 1x4s and the 1x6, I'm just using the cheap 18 gauge nails with the brad nailer. So now we can go ahead and start filling in these holes. All right, so now we just about finished up with the boards in the center. Now I've got all the boards in where I want them, and now we're gonna have to special cut 2 different boards to get them to fit in there properly so it covers the whole entire thing. So let's get that done now. That special board put in that side so it fits real nice. The best way to do this is I went ahead and cut another board that I needed the same length, and then figured out what the gap was, and put a mark on each end, and then used a chalk line to put a line all the way across so I could cut it. And now we're gonna put this camera somewhere so I can show you what I'm doing. All right, that should be good. All right, so what I did is went ahead, put these boards all the way down at the bottom. Ow. And then take the special board, and it's really tight fit, so it's not going to go in there. So what I did is took this next board and pulled it out, fit the special board in the top, and kind of do that so they're like pinching here. And now we're going to tap this into place. And that's that. Now that they're in there, we're gonna nail these in place, and the front part of this is completely done. Now we're gonna move on to the back side, and we're gonna do the same exact thing, except we're not gonna go all the way down to the bottom. I just did a rough figure on how many boards I'm gonna need. So I'm gonna get this nailed up, flip it over, and figure how many boards I will be able to have left as far as these kind of boards go. I won't need to cut a specialty board. I'll just use the boards that I have and go down until I run out, so it's level on the back end. But we're not going to be able to go all the way to the ground because the mattress is going to hide off that open gap mattress box spring and the frame that it sits on. So we're going to do this whole entire thing pretty much exactly the same, except we're going to start at the top like we did here and just work our way down to the bottom. So let's get this nailed up and flip this around and start working on the back end. Good thing about these brad nails is they're real small. If they do something weird like this, like it'll hit it, if you have it like on a bad angle, it'll kind of ricochet off, and then the force will like do all this to it. They're so small that usually you can go ahead and pull them off. If I can't pull them off, I'll either try and nail them in with a hammer, and if it's gonna look too nasty, if they'll do like this into the wood, if I can't pull them out, I'll just take a cutter of some kind and cut off the head, and that should be fine. And then sometimes like that, they'll just break off by wiggling them back and forth. And that's that. All of the front completely done, and flip this thing around, and now we're going to do the same thing to the back side, except we don't have to go all the way down to the bottom because of the mattress and box spring will be covering it. So I do have some leftover wood here of the 1x4s. We're just going to see how far we can go down to use all of it that we have, and that's how far we'll go. So now we're going to do the same thing we did at the front onto the back. Alright, so we finished that. I ended up putting a board at the top here, which I knew that had to be there. And then I saved another board for all the way at the bottom. And then I had 2 boards left. I got 2 of these out of 1 board. They're 34 1/4 inches long to fit in between the middle pieces. And these are actually 3 1/2 inches wide here. So 2 of them together is 7. So I cut 3 pieces, 7 inches. Got them in place and made sure it was 34 1/4 here and 34 1/4 there. Then put those in and got those in place, and then put the bottom board because that was the last of the 1x4s that I had that I could do something like this with. So that's all done and on. I just cut this 1x6, which is going to be the top. I'm getting ready to nail that on, and it's just got a little bit of a lip all the way around. I am going to nail that on. And then I have some small 1x4s left over that I'm going to put on the side here. And the 1x12s are going to connect here and go this, yeah, the bed's going to be here. They're going to connect here and go this way and connect into the headboard. And it's a 1x12, but it's actually only 11 inches tall. So this whole thing is 30, so 30 minus 11 is 19. So I need a 1x4 19 inches long here, and on the other side over there, get that on. And the footboard here is done and ready to sand, stain, and polyurethane on it to make it a little bit shiny. And then I'm going to sand and stain the same way with the boards that go along the floor. Get all that done, and then I'm ready to install it all. So let's go ahead and nail this on, cut the side boards, nail those on, then the footboard's done, then we'll do the sideboards. Alright, so got this thing flipped over, got the top nailed on and the sides, and I ended up having to strip a piece because this here's 3.5 and the whole entire thing ended up being 5, so I had to cut a piece 1.5 inches to make it all the way across. So this is it. This is the footboard on the front, and that is the back. Now this thing is ready to start sanding and stain. And now the 1x12s. Now we got to get those cut. It's going to end up being 88 total inches for these to go from the back of the headboard all the way to the back of the footboard. So we've got to cut these 88 inches long, and now everything is done, and we just got to sand and stain, and then we're going to pre-drill probably 3 spots on both sides of these after they're cut for screws, and that's what's going to secure this to the headboard and then secure it to the footboard. So let's get these cut, and then they're ready, and the footboard is ready for sanding and stain. Alright, so we got our sideboards cut and footboard's completely done. Now we are completely ready to start sanding and staining. What I use to sand is, I love this thing. You can use it for so many different things. This is a DeWalt oscillating tool. I've got a sander pad here that clips on there, and then I have 120 and 240 grit sandpaper that just stick on the Velcro here. I'm going to go over everything with the 120 first, just to round the edges real good, and then I'm going to go back over it with the 240 to get it pretty smooth before we start staining. Whew. All right, I just got done sanding all of the footboard and the 2 sideboards. I did use the oscillating tool with the sanding pad. This has got Velcro on it, and these just stick on top. That's what I used to sand it. And then I used my air compressor over there and blew all of it off, and then wiped it down with the rag. And now we're going to use another rag and start putting the stain on this. And heard something outside. Look how sunny it is, and it's raining. It's slacking off now. It was like really hard a second ago. Alright, never mind the rain. Let's get the stain. Just pop the top off of this if you're wondering. The stain I am using is dark walnut. Alright, let's do this. Alright, sorry I didn't get much of that on film. I filmed a little clip and then stopped and was going to do it again, but when you do, when you use stain with the rag, it gets like all in your hands, and my hands were like covered in it, and I was like, I'm not going to touch my phone. But I did finish. Here it is. So here are the sideboards. They're only going to face one way, so I didn't worry about staining the back side. I just did all the sides of it and the face of those two. And here is the footboard. Oh my goodness. That scared the crap out of him. And here is the footboard. Stain the top and sides of that. I didn't go in here because that is going to get covered up by the sideboards over there. And then I'm going to let this dry. And tomorrow when I get home from work, I'm going to film the stain the backside over here. And then let that dry. And the next day after that, we are going to put the polyurethane on. Make it a little bit shiny. But that's what it looks like so far. So now we'll come back tomorrow and we'll probably go ahead and put polyurethane on that and then stain the back side of this. And then we'll polyurethane this side. All right, so I got all the stain work done and then used polyurethane on the headboard, the footboard and the sideboards. When you stain this, once it dries, it gets a real dull color. So if you want it at least somewhat shiny like this, you're gonna wanna put polyurethane on it. So now we're ready to put this together, and I am going ahead and putting screws in here. It's going to be 3 on each side on each board to tie into the footboard and then to tie into the headboard. And I did pre-drill. If you don't want it to split, be sure and pre-drill your holes. And it doesn't really matter what screws you use. But I'm putting those screws in there, and then we're going to haul this in and put this thing together. Oh, and check this out. I am doing this whole project over a few days. I had the pump in my sprayer go bad and my air compressor has a leak all in the same day. So now I have to work on both of those. So that's just great. So let's go ahead and put this together. So put the sideboards on both sides. Got it screwed in there. That is the headboard that I made a few months ago. If you haven't seen that video, check that out. Got the both sideboards screwed into there. Then sat the footboard in place and screwed it in on both sides. And the 3 screws hold this pretty nice. It's like no movement at all, so that's good. So now we can put all this bed back together and see what it looks like. All right, so got the whole bed installed. I think it came out pretty nice. Got the sideboards. Sweet. All right, so if you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you liked it, if you've done something like this, or if you think I should have done something different, be sure to let me know about it. And if you haven't yet, be sure to get subscribed to the channel. Check out all the other project videos I've got on here. Let me know what you think about those down in those comment sections, and I'll see you guys later.